Well, hey Blake, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I don't have an intro for you other than that this is the world famous, internationally famous. Let me be real. Blake Eastman. And Blake, as we were talking right before we came on here, you were my very first coach, my
It's an
and so
honor.
no, the honor, Charlie, honestly, the honor is mine, but thank you. Because I wouldn't be here in this chair, we wouldn't be having this interview if you and I hadn't met and
Mm.
that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. So what I'm doing is, as I'm interviewing people from all walks of life that I know that I've met that are living lives that really want to live. And I know that's exactly what you're doing. And I just want to talk a little bit about how you got there and what you did or didn't do or anything like that. And
Yeah.
the first question I always ask people is this one, because obviously you're extremely successful. There's no question about that. But first, have you ever felt like you were stuck in your life anywhere?
I I f- I think that it's a gift and a curse. So I think if I were to really look back at my like early 20s and my early 30s, I had this ability to not feel stuck but actually be stuck, which was dangerous. So like I would say if you asked me at any sort of place, you'd be like, "Hey Blake, are you stuck?" And I'm like, "No, not at all. I know exactly what to do." But I didn't see that I was kind of like walking in circles. So it's
Interesting.
it's still something that I have to sort of check in. And I feel stuck a lot, not in life. I'll feel
Yeah.
maybe stuck in like a specific project but I just know that like the only way out is through.
Right.
So, usually when I feel stuck, I try to break things down into like, okay, I'm going to move this forward by 1% today
Okay.
just to sort of get it forward. But I think that was a big trap of mine and a big problem earlier on.
So you were stuck, but you really didn't admit
Yeah.
it to yourself
Cause
or
I,
anybody else.
I think stuck infers like a lack of action. And
Hmm.
I wasn't stuck. I was taking actions, but they were like the same actions in a loop.
Hmm.
So like I thought that I was making progress, but then I'm like, well, I'm back where I started. I'm back where I started. I'm back where I started. So I don't think I would have ever have said. I would say a better word is like trapped,
Okay.
right?
I
Which is
like I
like
like that.
trapped
Yeah.
in my own cycle of doing it. Yeah,
Yeah. So kind of the classic definition of insanity, right?
pretty much. Yeah,
Doing the same thing
exactly,
over and over.
exactly.
So for people that don't know who you are, and let's talk a little bit about your background, who you are, what you've done, and what you're doing now, because I know you're working with a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, my story is definitely like a very non-traditional one.
Hmm.
So, like, I was a psychology professor for 6 years, professional poker player, I've owned a bunch of companies. Um, but now I sort of focus on the behavioral nuance of people. And we started a company called Behavioral Robotics that's like teaching machines to read and process nonverbal behavior at a very high level of aptitude. And I've just done this in a lot of industries. So I've consulted, I've done it's like I'm 40 now. I just turned
Hmm.
40, which is cool.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
Which is cool, but it's just kind of like again, I think I've always been driven by what interests me and not
Hmm.
driven by making money or like it's really been interest driven, which is good and bad. So
Right.
and I tend to my story when you tell it like you know this about me because you know a lot
Yeah.
more of it, but people would think like, oh, like psychology and like poker and then like non-verbal, like it makes total sense. And it's like if you really look at the story, it's more of like layers of interest on top at the same time, as
Hmm.
opposed to like one, two, three, four, five, six. And I think that's what happens is a lot of people view other people's lives as like linear path. Like, so what did you do to get from here to here? And it's like never linear. It's always multifaceted. It's always multiple layers deep. And I just feel like that's kind of like the first time I ever coached somebody was in poker like 20 years ago. And
Right.
now I coach like CEOs and executives of big companies. And now I'm like a little bit phasing out of coaching and automating coaching through a bunch of tools that I do. So like everything has just been this sort of progression, I feel, of like studying human behavior in different ways and like unlocking people's potential in different ways. So like the through line is similar, but the way that I went about it is just so diverse and so different.
And you grew up in New York City, right?
Yeah, born and raised in New York City, was there the bulk of my life. Now I live in Austin. Also spent 3 years like traveling the world with my wife and working remotely, which was great. Um, but yeah, definitely a New Yorker, no matter where I go. Uh,
And you were a
that's
child actor too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I was a child actor. I forget about that. I was on Broadway when I was younger. Something I
That's
really
cool.
don't bring up. It's like,
I know, but I think I'm impressed with it. That's why I'm
yeah,
bringing it
no,
up.
I don't bring it up because of like shame or it's just like I it's just weird. Like most people when they start their intro don't start like at 10 or 11 or whatever. So I jump past that. But I think that looking back at that whole experience, it did I think it gave me the ability to handle rejection at a young age. Because
Right.
like, you would audition for something and you wouldn't get it and you'd be like, okay, next thing. I think that was a very unique opportunity.
And you, so it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, obviously, but it seems to me like kind of as you've gone through every different stage of your life, as you've evolved, and I think it's definitely an evolution for you. I mean, that's how I see it, looking from
Yeah,
the outside looking in,
definitely.
But as you've evolved through your life, I mean, it appears to me as though you've really, and whether you consciously focused on it or not, I don't know, but you
Mm.
really have gone after living the life you want, you really want, and not settle. And you're not settling for anything or anybody, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good statement. So, not all of the time I was living the life that I wanted, but I
Mhm.
was pulling towards it,
Right,
which can be also a trap of when you're chasing this carrot. So you're just like, oh, when I make X amount of money per month, I'll be happy. When I make X amount,
right.
and I think that is like a little dangerous. And I did that
Mhm.
probably from the age of like 21 to like 34, like half of my adult life. And now I'm just very good at coming back to like my dad passed away from ALS a couple of years ago, and that kind of had a
Sorry.
profound impact on how I like look at things. And I think the biggest one was like just enjoy the now. So like, oh, I did all these things today. Today, I really enjoyed myself. I really had fun. Like, what a blessed life I live. And I think you really only understand how blessed your life is when things get taken away.
Yeah.
And I just try not to do that. I don't want to, and I've coached a lot of people that have, built amazing companies and accomplish insane amounts of wealth. And for some of them they get to it. I'm like, dude, we've been talking about this for like 3 years. You did it. You sold your company for 1.4 billion dollars. Like you're so successful, da, 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 da. And they're kind of like depressed, like because they've been chasing this destination, and then they arrive at the
Right.
destination and then they're like, now what, right? And I think humans are a lot like this, and that's one of the reasons why I think humans always need projects and we need like things to grow and things to develop, but they don't all have to be money related, and they don't have to all be business related. And I think a well-rounded life, at least for me, is something where like I'm accomplishing all my fun little projects and all my fun little games, and doing that all so that my days are rewarding. And that's what I believe is like a really valuable life. Like I don't think doing something and hating it for 3 years or 5 years or even a month, and then at the end of it being like, oh, I accomplished it. What's the next thing I'm going to do? Is that rewarding for me? But I know some people that function like that.
Mhm. You mentioned a couple of things. One is about, and trigger thought in my mind. A lot of people get stuck in the past, right?
Mm.
And they have a hard time getting. That's definitely a trap. They have a hard time getting out, and then there's ways to do it, but it's not easy. It's hard. But you mentioned, you like when you're 20s, especially when I make this amount of money, I'll be happier. When I do this, I'll be happier. Blah blah blah. Maybe I'm paraphrasing here. So,
Yeah, that's right.
but I'm thinking that people can get caught in the future too, or get caught in, get
Oh
stuck in the
yeah.
past and maybe get caught up in the future. And like you said, forget about the moment, forget about today.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, just people get caught in the past. They get so focused on the future and forget about like you kind of see this with some parents where it's like, they have young kids. Like I'll attend a lot of mastermind events and stuff like that, and like, you know, uh, I feel like it's typically men that say this, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, I'm doing everything for my family, right? Like, I'm
Right.
traveling to provide them of a life, and da 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 da." Da. And like at the end of the day, like the kid just wants their dad. Like
Yeah.
they just want to see their dad. They don't really care about all those types of like things. And that's what's like living in the future, living in the future. Things will, well, it'll be better in a year once I get this, and then the year comes and it's the same, and then a year comes and it's same. It's a trap sometimes that people don't even see that they're in.
Yeah. So how do you stay grounded? How do you stay present?
I mean, I feel like I think about death a lot. Uh, it sounds morbid, but like it really does help me. Probably like multiple times a week. That like, yeah, like I think, everybody listening to this, there's this weird thing that we do when we talk about death where it's like, but it's not going to be me. Right.
Right.
Like,
That's true.
like
We
you
just
see,
disassociate, don't we?
we
We
just,
disassociate.
yeah. It's like, oh, somebody else died or somebody else got into a car accident and died. But like, we don't think it's going to happen to us. And it's like, yeah, how you live your life is going to obviously increase or decrease the chances of death. But like, if I was doing wheelies on a motorcycle every day without a helmet, and like, yeah, my increase is going to be higher. But at the end of the day, you don't know. People die from aneurysms and random accidents and random things. And I think there's something um, both scary and humbling about knowing that you just have a limited amount of time on the planet. And we'd all like to think that we're going to die when we're 90 or 80 or 100, but you don't know. And I feel like that keeps me pretty grounded to the moment to make sure that I enjoy it.
So then how do you relate that to, I'm not sure quite how to ask the question, I guess. So how do you relate that back to living? How do you relate thinking about death back to living
So,
your life?
because it's basically like whatever I'm going through, no matter how hard, challenging, annoying, or frustrating it is, I'm alive. So it's like I
Right.
could be dead, or I could have a serious illness, or I could have a serious this. It's just like the health thing. Like everything, nothing else matters than that. So like no matter what, like I always like the thought exercise of like, you know, maybe he wouldn't do this, but like, Warren Buffett, if was given the opportunity to like exchange all his wealth for a 21-year-old body, probably would do
Right.
it. Right. Like it is the most valuable asset that there is, really.
Right. Especially if you keep his knowledge and keep his experience, right? Because
Exactly. Right.
just go back and do
Like
it again. Yeah.
that'd be a good question too. It's like if you can start from scratch and you can't do anything that you're doing, would you give up? And some people might have the answer, nope. I lived my life and it was a great life and I'm happy to see what's next, or and that's
Right.
powerful too. But for what works for me, I've always certain things I want to accomplish while I'm on the planet, and I just want to make sure that I get it done.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good outlook. It's a great outlook. I like it a lot. So you seem very calm and you seem very, I don't know, very focused and just very, but you seem, the sense of calmness I'm getting from you right now is just kind of interesting to me.
I think I'm
Because when I'm in
tired.
your, because when you're tired, it's a great answer.
No.
When I'm in your classes, you bring a lot of
Yeah.
energy to your
Energy.
classes and
Yeah.
to your
Yeah.
coaches and teachers. I mean, you do. You bring a high level of energy, which is one of the things I enjoy about you. It doesn't come across as tired. Maybe you are, but it doesn't come across like
No.
that.
Yeah. I
It,
get
it,
it.
it comes across as being calm, man. And
Yeah.
a lot
No,
of
it's good.
people just are not.
I think I have very different modes, right? Like, so like the objective function of keeping if 9, 10, 30, 40 people engaged in a class for 8 hours discussing quite technical things requires a certain amount of my range.
right,
versus like a podcast versus like a something else. But I would say that like I have this like middle ground, and then it's like dialed up by 20% or dialed down by 20%, but like it's always within that sort of like threshold. But yeah,
right.
class Blake is definitely different than like maybe podcast Blake for sure. It's a good
and
observation.
and what would Molly say, by the way? Molly, for those who don't know, is your lovely bride
So
who
yeah,
also has her own company.
she would probably she's experienced way more of the range,
Yeah, I'm
right?
sure.
Like any couple, like when I'm maybe just like more quiet or more grumpy or more this or more that, but like we both help coach each other out of those sort of states and out of those I don't know, lower value type of things. But like anything, like you know, I am a very social person. I spend a lot of my time around people, but like this week was just a lot of calls and presentations and stuff like that. And I might choose to be more of like alone this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm just
Right.
gonna like write and I gotta do some coding and a bunch of other stuff. So it's like looking forward to that. And that's kind of another reason I like my life is I get to do so many different things. Like I get to write, I get to engineer, I get to design, I get to build things, I get to like speak to companies and coach people. Like it's very hard to be bored, basically.
Yeah, you've got a lot. You've got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot going
Yeah, I got
on.
a lot going
Most
always.
most of it I don't understand, by the way, but
Yeah, yeah.
but it's cool. I mean, it's
Some
very
of it
cool.
I don't even understand. That's why it's interesting.
Well, yeah, you're kind of making it up, not making it up. You're kind of creating as you go
No, it
along, right? I
is.
mean, that's
Yeah, some of this is the hardest stuff I've ever worked on in my life by
hmm,
far. Nothing comes close. But I'm glad that I'm like I wouldn't have been able to do this 20 years ago or 10
right.
years ago. Even if you took like the 20 years ago Blake and put him today, it's like it wouldn't have been possible.
So you feel like that your past experiences can help people ladder up and level up and get to the next level and next level and next level. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, I mean, I really, when I was like in my 20s, I didn't have any like real respect for age. So when somebody
Hmm.
was like a certain age, it didn't mean anything. I think the older I get, the more I have respect for age. Like humans work with, we learn off feedback loops, we learn off of mistakes, we learn off of trial and error, we learn off all these things. And the older you are, the more you have that. It's just
Yeah,
that simple. Like a 21-year-old has not made anywhere near the many mistakes as like a 45-year-old. It's just no way.
right.
Um, so I think that there's a lot of value in making mistakes, learning from them, and getting, you know, better and more grounded as you move forward.
Yeah, because it's about the experience, right? And about what you learn from those
Yeah,
experiences and what you incorporate and what you learn from other experiences, people around you as well.
exactly.
Speaking of which, you in a position like you're in, where you're coaching and you're teaching and you're the authority, you're the expert. There's no question that you are. Okay.
Hmm.
Are you also able then to take away from other people, other,
Oh, all
learn
the
from
time.
others?
I mean, I learn. I mean, that's one of the like coolest parts about my job. It's like
Mhm.
I get to learn from people and from the mistakes of people and from the insights of people. Like, yeah, that's probably one of the major reasons that attracts me to it. Just and then you get to start to see like, oh, everybody's like effective and ineffective in their own way. So
Right.
some people are like really good at this, but they're not really good at that. So I can be like, oh, it's really interesting what they're doing here, and it's really interesting what they're doing there. It's been a really cool and like even in poker, like some of my clients over the years have been like the best poker players in the world, and like something they say, I'm like, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way. Like that really helps me. Like there, you just, I don't think it would be anywhere near as rewarding if it wasn't two way. Like the priority is always for me to add value, but I'm always trying
Mhm.
to extract it as much as I possibly can.
I think that's cool. They also think that's smart because
Yeah.
you're not letting your ego get in the way, right?
Yeah, there's always something to learn. There's always something. You can't go in there like you have the answers always. You have
Yeah.
some answers and some are good and some are bad, and it takes time to really figure it out.
How do how do you keep the humility level where it should be,
Uh,
or where you're comfortable with it? Maybe not. Should be
it's
probably a
it's
bad way
really
to say
not.
it.
The humility thing is really not that hard And the reason why is because I'm harder on myself than anybody else ever would be.
Mhm.
So like most of the work that I have to do is like, my coaching to that I get it. I have to be like proud of myself. And so like I can make something that's incredible and I'll think it sucks. I'm like, well, it could have been much better. So it's like the humility isn't measured by other people's what like somebody really important could say something nice about me and it feels good for like a couple seconds. And then it's just like, well, I have this issue and I need to work on this. So like I'm pretty good at staying grounded because I just don't feel like I'll ever be done. And I don't want to ever be like there's some people that are like experts in areas and I feel like they get the title of expert and then they just stop. They stop
Right.
growing, they stop developing, they stop doing all. And I just never, it like grosses me out. Like I never want to sort of be like that. So that usually keeps me, but I'm my own worst critic by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe you've answered this, but how do you keep growing? How do you keep that how do you keep the spark alive too? How do you keep the desire to keep growing?
I mean, that's a good question. It's like a balance because like at one side, if you make yourself wrong, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not good enough." You may not enjoy the sort of the work. Um, I don't know, like it's hard. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
the growing thing and the developing thing and the getting better stuff. It's just such a fabric of who I am. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I do know.
it doesn't like I don't have like a particular like I don't know what my life would be without that. Like if it was just like I like oh I'm
That's
done like
that's a great
I
answer, by the way.
yeah I don't really know like I guess in a lot of it's a great question in a lot of ways like growth and development and improvement is a core part of my life and I don't know maybe I would be happier just feeling like 100% content and whole and complete which I admire in some people who do that but it's just like not yet maybe at 70 maybe at 80 maybe at 90 or I don't know
Uh,
um,
can I burst your bubble?
yeah, it never
It
happens,
ain't,
right?
it ain't never gonna
Yeah,
happen. No,
yeah.
it ain't never gonna happen, man.
That's what I figured.
Especially for somebody like you. But let me ask you this, because there are people out, a lot of people, by the way. A lot of them are, some maybe listen to this conversation or listen watching this conversation. There are a lot of people that aren't doing that, and they're so down on themselves, and they've been so beat up by themselves, by life, by other people, whatever circumstances, situations. If you were advising someone, how would you how would you what's the first thing we don't want to we can't let a whole blueprint, right? Because
Hmm.
everybody's situations are different. But what would be the first thing that you could tell them, or the first one thing they could do? I'm big on one thing, man. I'm big on the
I
next one thing.
I would say most growth starts from taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life. Um, because if you're like a if you're a 10% victim, it like blocks you. I just think it's just so much easier, right? So it's just
Mhm.
such an easier way to be responsible for everything in your life. So no matter what's happened to you, no matter what like hardship that you've been through,
Right.
just taking responsibility. And the only time I think it's hard is for like children that grew up in like an abusive house where,
Yeah.
but as an adult, you can still take responsibility for how you're dealing with the things today, right? Like maybe
Right.
not when you were a child, but that's always worked for me. So every problem or every issue, I start with like, where am I causing this? Where am I creating this? Like if it's with someone else, it's a relationship dynamic, if it's a workplace, because I just don't like the concept of my destiny being in the hands of others.
Yeah.
So it's just better to just take 100% accountability. And it's a muscle. This is not something that you just snap your, it's very hard, especially if you have, like most people, if you look at most like interactions and stuff, most people will really like make excuses for you. and help you sort of build this and not call you out on like, oh yeah, your wife was this or your husband was this or your boss is such a this. It's like, well, if your boss is making your life miserable, why do you stay at that job? Like you're
Right.
choosing to stay at that job, right? So I think that is where most of that insights start from.
So a lot of people justify, right? For
Hmm.
one, justify a bad situation for I don't know, something they think is good or something they might want to be good or something along those lines. How do you take that responsibility? What's the, you know, if you were
Acknowledge,
advising if you're
yeah,
advising somebody else, what would you say?
acknowledging really all the things that you did in the dynamic that you got yourself into. So like if you hate your boss, like guess what? Every single job, you have the ability to get fired. You have also the ability to quit
Right,
at any
right.
time. So part of you is choosing this, right? So it's like, okay, that's your personal choice. And then people will, like you said, they'll quickly justify it. Well, but no, you don't understand. I've got a wife and I've got 3 kids, or I got a husband who's depending on me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's fine. And I get it. This is what life is, but it's still a choice. You're still choosing to go to work every day. You're still choosing to do those things. And you could find another job. And then, like, I really believe that people need to know that they have agency in their life. And if they don't feel like they have agency, they feel stuck and they feel like gross and all those types of things. And
Yeah.
the fabric of having agency is understanding that you're taking 100% responsibility.
Okay. That's a great answer. It's a great way to do it too. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't, or they get so beat up that they start to settle, and then they get sick of it.
That's another one, and then they don't even realize it, right? Like, yeah,
Right.
that's I think it's a bigger problem for folks that don't even see it. But it's also all like cultural, like America's a lot different than other parts in the world. Like if I go talk to some European companies and I'm like, oh, like yeah, I'll get it done this weekend. They're like, why are you working on the weekends? Like, what are you crazy? Like it's just a different way of living, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it is for sure. So I want to circle back to one thing, and then we're going to talk about your businesses a little bit, and then we'll wrap here.
Okay.
But one of the things that you said earlier in the interview was you were talking about your wife Molly, who's impressive as hell in her own right, obviously. And but you said as a couple, she's seen it all, right? How do you incorporate? And I know that you look at your wife as a partner in
Yeah.
everything you do. How do you incorporate? How do you create that dynamic, and how do you keep that dynamic fresh and alive? Because I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's so me and my wife are lucky in the sense that uh where a lot of our relationship is easy because we our preferences and our definition for what a relationship should be are very similar, and we have similar interests and similar all those things. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like we've been together for 15 years, and like we even had this discussion last week about this of like we're around each other 24/7. So like how do you make more aliveness, and really the only way that we do it, you got to prioritize it. You got to make it like a thing. You got to have like events in the calendar. You got to make sure you do like we're a very like calendar driven couple, and it's like
right.
if we put in like date night on a Friday from 5 to 8, let's go do something. Let's go be with friends. Let's go all that. We have to do it, and then also like it's just something that has to be talked about a lot. So we do this thing where we every quarter we like go somewhere and like plan our lives. We have like business and personal stuff. And
So you do like a mini retreat with your wife.
yeah, pretty
That's
much. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've
It
never heard
was
that before.
it was her that it's something that I've always wanted to do, but it was her that really like made it happen. So like we're doing another one. We're going to Maui in like a week or 2 weeks, and then we'll spend like a day just like talking about like what we want the entire next year to look like.
That's cool. Do you
And
make
like
notes? Do you make all that kind of stuff and
yeah, we have
jot stuff down?
like a
Or
spreadsheet that like has like
oh,
every month and like here's what we're doing and here's this, and then and then it's like a game of trying to accomplish or create that, which I think is pretty essential and pretty helpful.
yeah,
Um, and then really just like I hate to say it because it's so cliche, but like communicating, like
yeah.
it's just that simple. Like if she says does something that I don't like, I don't internalize it. I say it. If I do something that she doesn't like, so you guys are all like we're very often on the same page because there's a lot of communication feedback loops between us, which a
And
lot
that
of
comes from
couples don't
trust,
have.
right?
Yeah,
And
that's
that
a
comes from trust. You
and
have to
that's how you
trust each
build
other to do
trust.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and if you
it's how you
don't do
build it,
that,
but it has to be
yeah,
there to be able to communicate like that, right?
or else you don't believe the other person's going to do what they're going to say that they're going to do, and then things
Right.
break down. So I think that, but then also a lot of it is like I don't have to compromise with my wife that much, which is great. Like it's
Yeah.
not like she wants X and I want Y. Like we do, it's not like any relationship. We get into fights and there's things that we have to deal with, but it's not like about the big things really often, which is nice.
Yeah. It is nice. You know what? You do have a, I don't know how many careers you had now, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
This,
I
your
don't, yeah,
next,
it's a great question of like how would I define my careers? Like I don't even know. Like cuz that's what I mean. Like it's always so like
yeah,
messy. You know what I mean?
I
Like
get it, man. One morphs into another.
like I don't have like the chapter closed. Like it
Right,
all still feels like, I guess the only chapter I am kind of closing is like poker. Just like
right.
that's the only one that's like it's just I've got too much going on. I love it, but it's like I don't love it enough to do that. So that's like the one chapter that I would say would be like, okay, but I'm still gonna play poker and I'll still coach certain play. Like it's never really closed.
I was gonna say, yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been such an integral part of your life,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say your next chapter is all about relationship
Yeah.
counseling, coaching, and development because
Yeah.
you've got the tools, you've got the
Maybe do
advice, you've
some
got the knowledge.
relationship stuff.
Absolutely, man. I'm not kidding. I'm serious
Yeah.
because you're doing some cool stuff that I have never heard other people do. And I love the idea of the concept of a mini retreat or even a full retreat. Call it what you want, right? Where you're
Yeah, you
sitting
do.
down, you're mapping stuff out, and you're tracking it, and you make a game out of it. And you're playing with it, and you're having fun with each other.
Yeah, and this is the structure. So basically, one, you start the year off with a bigger vision. And then every quarter you go away for like 2 nights somewhere. And
Mhm.
like one day is just dedicated towards the stuff and reflection and all that. And then like every like one Saturday a month, you review the plan. So you're so let's say I make all these plans in January. Then on January 31st on a Saturday, we'll go to like a brunch and like sit there and review it. And then you're just always sort of like calibrating on that. It's
Nice.
helpful. It can be it's funny. I think it's supposed to be fun. If it's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
fun, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's not
You
fun. It's
know?
work, and it's an issue. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you're
You know,
not really enjoying it, it's a problem.
excuse me. Yeah, it's yeah, and I can tell you guys have fun because you're starting to smile and laugh as you're talking about it as you're reliving it,
Yeah,
and it's getting me excited. It's getting me kind of fired up.
good. Yeah, got to do it.
I'm gonna take this idea, man. I'm gonna let you know how it goes
Yeah,
too.
I love it.
Hey, to kind of just turn the page here. I was talking with the marketing person here a while back, and she asked me to define what I do as a positioning statement, right? And as I was considering her question, 3 words just kind of popped into my head, and those 3 words are dream, vision, and execute, right? And I think the middle one of those, vision, that is so critically important. And you mentioned vision a minute ago because you had a big vision for the first year, at the first of each year, so on and so forth. Can you just talk about vision for just a minute, and then we'll get into the
Yeah.
rest of it.
Um, I don't know where I would be without vision. I think it's
First of all,
probably
define what that is in your mind
so
or in your world.
I think vision is the ability to see a future state for you, yourself, your partner, your product, your whatever, right?
Right.
And I've always been good at like I can like viscerally see things. Like I can close my eyes and like see it. So vision has always been
So you visualize it.
yeah, like I can
Okay.
actually like see it. Like I will I'll have a book coming out in 2027 and I'll like every time I'm in an airport I'll visualize seeing my book in the airport bookstore
Nice.
or whatever, right? Like to sort of
Right.
like visualize it or seeing our software run in a bunch of different ways. I think at the end of the day, if I were to look back at it, I've always been very, very, very good at vision. I haven't been so good at execution. So it's like the vision almost came natural, but
Okay.
the execution that takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
execution
yeah,
is the elbow grease.
yeah.
That's the hard part, right?
But
Yeah. But
vision can make it more exciting.
yeah,
Vision could also make it uh more damaging when you have a vision for what you create and can't actually attain it, right? And then that messes with people sometimes. But like it's just cool that we could like envision something and then create it. It's like a cool sort of thing.
yeah. My take on it is, or my position on it is, without vision, nothing else happens. You don't
Yeah,
have a
I would
vision,
agree.
or
Yeah.
can't create a vision, then you are gonna stay stuck or trapped. Whatever that your definition of that is.
Yeah, you
So,
need a vision.
so along these lines, and I know it's been a free flowing conversation. This is
Yeah, it's great.
kind of like I like to do it. Before we get into your personal your contact information, how people can get a hold of you and that kind of stuff and follow you, because I want you to talk about that. But anything else you want to add? Any other words of wisdom or genius that want to pop out of your mouth right now?
I the big thing is I would say every time you're like inspired by someone, come back to why not me?
Mm,
You know, like I think there we live in a society where it's
that's
like,
brilliant.
oh, like this person's on video or this person has this incredible life, and just be like, why not me? Like, why
That's
can't I
brilliant,
do
Mike.
that? Right?
That's
Like,
brilliant. I love it. Yeah.
it's
So
just
simple.
it's just so simple and so and I think people get in their story is like they don't think that's for them or they don't think they can do that. It's like, have you even tried? Like, try it. Like, because everyone you see that's successful is flawed. Everyone, there's no such thing as the perfect person. There's no such thing as the
That's right.
perfect life. We're all just trying to figure it out, basically.
Yeah. Even though Instagram tells us differently.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I
So
mean, I know a lot of people on Instagram who like portray a certain life, and I know them. They're good friends.
I know the
That's
I know
not
the truth.
that's
I
not
know the truth.
real. It's
Yeah.
not real at all. We're like
Exactly.
selectively filtering, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of life is mundane and like people would consider me like I've been told over and over and over again like, oh, I'm a high performer, and I was like, I don't really still consider myself a high performer. Like if you had a
Right.
camera and you watch me throughout the day, it's like there's times where you're like, holy shit, this guy is moving fast. And then there's times where I'm just like sitting on my back, like doing nothing on the couch for an hour and a half, you know? Like it's
Right.
just it ebbs and flows.
Right. It's very cool. Well, how do people follow you? How do they keep up with what you're doing? Is because the behavioral robotics piece to me is just extremely
Yeah, it's
interesting.
getting
I mean, I'm
really,
so impressed.
really crazy. It's getting really crazy.
It's gonna
Like,
blow up, isn't it?
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I've been working on this my whole life, and it's just kind of like
I know.
the last couple of months, it's just it's insane. It's like basically gonna replace me in a lot of ways, like the
Mhm.
feedback, but like there's a lot of steps and there's a lot of and I'll always be improving those types of things. But I would say um I, I'm gonna start posting a lot more on Instagram starting next month and YouTube. But right
Okay.
now, the best central place is probably nonverbalgroup.com/newsletter. So I have a
Okay.
newsletter I send out every Monday. I never miss the Monday. I'll
Right.
probably change what that's gonna look like, but like that's the most consistent way to explain kind of like what I'm doing and what I'm up to.
Okay. So nonverbalgroup.com/newsletter, right?
Yep.
And
Perfect.
that's where they can subscribe there, and you'll get your newsletter and keep up with what you're doing and everything that's going on.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Well, hey man, I want to say thank you from the
Thank
bottom of
you.
my
These are
heart.
some great
Yes.
questions.
It's been an awesome conversation. Been a lot of
Yeah, I
fun. You and
loved
I
it.
have never interacted quite like
Yeah, I
this.
know, I know. We never
I've
talk
always
about
been,
this. How
you've
do you
always been
three
the
bet
teacher
ace
at
king in this
Central.
spot?
Yeah. Or why do you, yeah, or why did
Yeah,
you ain't three bet ace king in this
yeah,
spot
yeah,
on
yeah.
that paired board?
It's
Yeah,
so
I
funny.
know, right? It is
And also
awesome.
just a testament to you. It's like, you're one of these people that like, you know, is from the beginning has always been very coachable and hungered for knowledge. And just like I remember with the poker, like seeing you play from the first class to the second class, I was like, damn. I vividly remember me and Steve, like one of the people that works with me,
Yep.
Steve,
Yep.
like, like just like turning to me and being like, hey, like Kraft got a lot better. I was like, oh yeah, he did. Like it's kind of obvious to see. So it's always cool to watch that, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I remember that. I remember it too, Blake, and I remember how out of like a fish out of water I felt in the first session, and then
Hmm.
how much more comfortable I was in the second session, which I
Yeah.
think speaks to being able to get comfortable being
Yeah.
uncomfortable and also being willing to go through it and just and being willing and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so
And
much here
being
we could
willing
talk
to,
about.
last thing about that, like specifically in poker, but it happens everywhere. People are not willing to be wrong. And if you're not willing to be wrong, you never really grow.
Yeah.
Um, and that would come up in the poker class a lot where like I remember I'd ask somebody a question, like, oh, I did
Yep.
this for XYZ and ABC, and they just desperately want to be right. And it,
Yeah.
it, it just blocks your growth. It's just okay, like why did you do your
Yeah.
class
It's
if
a
you don't want
it's a brick wall, man.
yeah,
You
it
can't yeah.
is. It
Yeah, I
totally
agree with
is.
that. And I think so in life, obviously in life, I
Yeah,
mean,
same
probably even
exact
more
way.
so in life. I agree 100%. All right, man. Well, thank you. It's been an
Of
awesome
course.
time,
Thank
awesome
you.
conversation. I appreciate it. And I'll see you the next time I see you. Okay.
Yep. Have a good
All right.
one.
You too, Blake. Thank you.
That was awesome.